thank you all for showing up today, and we'll have plenty of time to answer questions about other items other than the jobs report next week. Thank you. Appreciate it.
So what about inflation? We're on inflation, outpacing wages, Mr. President.
So that takes us to something else. How do you do that? Do you do it with a tax on production? Or, do you have the consumers pay for that? That is, so people are saying, well, how do we put the tax at the doorstep of the tax industry?
So people can buy electric vehicles and don't have to ever worry about going to fill it up at the gas pump. And I just say, Chris, one of the things that I think is a really great example of this is that if you filled up your 15-gallon tank today, you'd be paying about $62 to go 300 miles. If you plugged in an electric vehicle in your garage with your 3-prong plug, you'd be paying about $10. So $10 versus $62, that's $50 you're saving every time you fill up. That's a huge savings for real.
Gas prices started rising a year ago. So is all of this to blame on Putin, or are there other?
No, partially. I don't say it's all Putin, but it's partially. That's not what I'm talking about. But anyway.
It just seems so depressingly insane. Let's drill, baby, drill. Let's get more oil on those markets. Yeah. This is the solution. And it's like, it's always the next cigarette is the one we're going to give up. But for now, we need to buy another carton. Why should I not be depressed by this?
Yeah. No, I totally get it, Chris. Believe me, I think a lot of us came into this hoping that we would be focusing solely on clean energy solutions, renewable, making that transition.
Members of your caucus who are saying that Clarence Thomas should resign.
I don't think he should have ever been appointed, so let me take it back.
It began as an examination of whether he paid all the taxes he should have on income from his work for foreign companies. This email from a former business partner, for example, found on a laptop computer Biden used, said he failed to disclose $400,000 that he was paid by the Ukrainian company. That laptop, which he took to a Delaware shop to get repaired but never reclaimed, was seized by the FBI, but not before Trump lawyer Rudy Giuliani got a copy of its hard drive, which he shared with congressional Republicans. Documents they've made public show that accounts linked to Biden also received nearly $4 million in consulting contracts from a Chinese energy company, according to an analysis by the Washington Post. But during the campaign, then candidate Biden denied there was a China connection.
My son has not made money in terms of this thing about, what are you talking about, China?
Senate Republicans say the documents also show Hunter Biden signed an agreement to represent an official of that company, Patrick Ho, for $1 million. Ho was later convicted in a U.S. court of trying to bribe government officials in Africa. The Republicans say that shows Hunter Biden had close ties to the Chinese government.
Hunter Biden was financially connected to CEFC, a company that was an arm of the communist Chinese regime.
Now, according to people familiar with the investigation, it has broadened out to look at whether he violated federal lobbying disclosure law.
It costs a lot of money in California. If you drive around in California and see the cost, you think, how could this be? I don't think any president would say that he himself made that happen. Of course, the public policy that we're engaged in made it happen, but the private sector made it happen too. 1 million jobs, which means that unemployment went down, practically cut in half. And when that happens, inflation increases. I've told you before when I was a new member of Congress and the chairman of the Fed said unemployment is dangerously low, is going to increase inflation. It's the way it is.
And Americans aren't only seeing sticker shock at the gas station. The Commerce Department today said people are also paying sharply higher prices for food and other necessities. Inflation is rising at the fastest rate in 40 years. The average price of gas in the U.S. now stands at $4.23 a gallon. That's up 47% from just a year ago. And on Wall Street today, stocks tumbled to the close with all three major indexes falling more than 1.5% on the day.
We have got to use this reason to become energy independent with clean energy. We don't want to be relying upon the fossil fuel markets that are incredibly volatile or from countries that don't have our interests at heart. So ultimately, the best solution is to go clean.
We must stop being dependent on energy, not just oil, but other energy products from Russia. Same thing here, diversification. So again, we have a short-term problem, we have a long-term opportunity. But we cannot allow the fossil fuel industry to use this as an excuse to reverse everything we're doing to save the planet. One of the things I think that the president may say, I don't have this as a fact, is that we will use the Defense Production Act to speed up diversification so that we're not so dependent on oil.
I'll tell you what, here's a wallet. This is going to change things, okay? Because we're all talking about, are we going to get back? Are we going to normalize? Are the retirees going to unretire? This is going to answer it. And the answer is yes to all of those, and I'll tell you why. Because the CPI rate was close to 8%. Wages, as strong as they are post-COVID high on the year over year, was 5.6. There's a bit of a spread there. And more, you have to use more dollars in your wallet because of inflation and savings rates starting to go down.